All right, hopefully that's getting the projector. I'm gonna hit the lights. All right, thank you everybody for coming to our November meeting. Of course, today we are going to be approving the bylaws. So this is the important one. And since our communications director isn't here, I'll just say our current on-paper membership is 5. And our next meeting is going to be on December 10th, the second Saturday of next month. Yes, Nova.
I did fill out that form.
So the 6th, I can amend this right in the middle of the meeting. There are 6 members.
Huzzah! Good job!
All right. And so October recap, of course the midterms happened, short summary, nationwide, really good actually, for especially progressives, but Democrats in general. We're going to get more into the details of that later. Canvassing successes. I want to give big thanks to our teams that went out and canvassed for Val Almanord in Spalding County and Demetrius Rucker in Locust Grove. Did great jobs. And we'll, like I said, once again, we'll look at the results later. And then also I want to shout out our organization's representation and partnership with some neighboring counties. During October, went up to multiple rallies in Peachtree City and Fayette County. The Fayette County Democratic Women and the Fayette County Democratic Committee both really want to work with our organization. And then in Henry County, I went to the Henry County Democratic Committee's annual big rally thing, and they seem semi-interested in working with us. It's just good to have presence in our neighbors' events. So I'm going to turn over to Autumn to give the treasurer's report.
All right. So a lot has happened since last month, because obviously the last meeting we didn't have a bank account. Now we've got a bank account. Yay! The bank account was opened with a $100 donation from the committee to elect William Harris. We got another $50 donation from the committee to elect Val Almanord, and then we took out $150 of that to pay canvassing volunteers, received another donation of $200 from William Harris, withdrew $50 to pay one canvassing volunteer. We have received a donation of $72.43 from the Young Dems of Georgia. But we do not have that in our bank account yet because the bank that we're using is not a good bank and has screwed us over multiple times. So we're working on it. Which is why, unfortunately, Nova, we don't have what we owe you today, but we are going to be yelling at the bank on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So far we are down $275. We owe $100 to Tony, $100 to me, $100 to Zachary, and $50 to Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And we are planning to get you that hopefully on Monday.
Hopefully on Monday.
It's fine. We're doing great.
We're doing great. It's fine. Capitalism isn't a hoax.
We're still waiting on donations from Williams campaign that just ended, and various other orgs that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
Over and out.
All right, so we have to go over the entirety of the bylaws. So I was sent by the president of the Georgia chapter of the Young Dems a template. I've filled out the template, changed a couple of sentences and stuff to match the values I think this organization should have. And now basically we're going to look through all of it, and if anybody wants to change something or has questions, just interrupt me and say, I would like to motion to amend, or I have a question, or whatever. So, the Young Democrats of Spalding County Constitution. We, the Young Democrats of Spalding County, in order to stimulate in young people an active interest in governmental affairs and promote their involvement at all levels of the Democratic Party, to promote the acquisition of political power by young people, to foster the ideals and principles of the highest degree of justice and social welfare, do associate ourselves together and establish this Constitution. That is just exactly how they wrote it. I just put in Young Dems in Spalding County. So, nothing interesting there. Article 1, name and affiliation. The name of this organization shall be Young Democrats of Spalding County. The Young Democrats of Spalding County will be characterized and affiliated with the Young Democrats of Georgia and endeavor to carry on the work of YDG in Spalding County, Georgia. Through its affiliation with YDG, YDSC shall also be affiliated with the Young Democrats of America. The Young Democrats of Spalding County seek a cooperative relationship with the local Democratic Committee, whose office we're in right now, and shall be guided by the actions of the Democratic Party assembled in state or national convention. Article 2, membership in the Young Democrats of Spalding County shall be open to any person who resides in Spalding County who has not yet turned 40 years old. The YDSC shall not restrict membership or participation on any bias other than age, political affiliation, and place of residence. Section 2, dues. The YDSC membership are required to pay an annual membership fee of $10 except in the case of financial hardship, and to provide an address, birth date, phone number, and email address if available. Dues are valid for 1 calendar year ending on October 31st. Members joining before April 30th shall be charged 100% of dues. Members joining after April 30th shall be charged 50% of dues. The Young Democrats of Spalding County, in keeping with the ideals of equal participation, shall endeavor to increase the membership of marginalized peoples within our local community. And that is, I want to point out something I amended, because the original one said we endeavor to increase membership of women and something else. So basically they meant marginalized communities, and so I rewrote it to be like that, to just generally say anyone, like whether it's people of color, queer people, women, whatever the case. Article 3, officers. The elected officers of the Young Democrats of Spalding County shall be president, vice president, treasurer, and communications director. Powers and duties of the president. The president shall be the chief administrative officer of the Young Democrats of Spalding County. Encourage and direct participation of members in YDG and local and statewide senior Democratic Party activities. Represent the YDSC to the YDG regional director. Serve as delegation chair of the YDSC delegation to the state YDG convention. Direct the implementation of policies adopted and authorized by the YDSC membership. Represent YDSC to the public. Appoint officers, standing and ad hoc committees, and directors of such committees as they see fit, except where such appointments would infringe upon the powers accorded other officers herein. Be an ex officio member of all committees. Have a $50 transaction limit without approval of the executive board or general membership. Have the power to appoint a chief of staff, not subject to executive board approval, to assist the president in the execution of their duties. Report on their activities at every YDSC meeting. And then the powers and duties of vice president. The vice president shall assist the president in the performance of the president's duties. Serve as president pro tempore in the event of the president's absence. Be chiefly responsible for new membership recruitment, particularly among marginalized communities. Have the power to appoint a recruiting committee, which they will chair, to assist with recruitment duties. Perform other duties as assigned by the president or YDSC membership. Powers and duties of the treasurer. The treasurer shall maintain records of all receipts and disbursements of funds of the organization in accordance with all local, state, and federal laws and regulations. Write checks and make deposits as directed by the executive board. Not have the power to make financial transactions without the approval of the executive board. Report all financial activity at each YDSC meeting. Shall keep all organizational financial records in balance. Be responsible for the presentation of new revenue enhancement project ideas and coordination of fundraising projects and events. Have the power to appoint a fundraising committee, which they will chair, to assist with fundraising duties. Have the power to appoint a fundraising director, subject to executive board approval. File all public disclosure commission reports if needed. Perform other duties as assigned by the president or YDSC membership. Powers and duties of the communications director. Communications director shall record and distribute accurate minutes of all general and executive board meetings in a timely manner. Send notification of regular and special YDSC meetings. Maintain all organizational files and records, including an accurate membership directory, in a safe and orderly manner. assure publicity distribution of press releases, flyers, and posters prior and post to YDSC events, serve as editor-in-chief of the YDSC newsletter, or appoint another individual editor subject to executive board approval, have the power to appoint a publicity committee which they shall chair to assist with publicity duties, perform other duties as assigned by the president and YDSC membership. If any YDSC officer fails to attend 2 consecutive YDSC meetings without being excused, such action will be considered an official act of resignation, and a vacancy in the office of president shall be filed by the president at the meeting following the confirmation of vacancies. Vacancies in all other offices are defined in Article 3 shall be filed by the special election at the meeting immediately following the confirmation of a vacancy. The YDSC presidency shall appoint an interim officer subject to executive board approval to perform the duties of the office until a special election can be held. Now I'm going to pause here, and I'd like to motion to not read the rest of this and send a digital copy of the rest of this to all the membership and have a digital vote. Do I have a second? Great. We're done here with that then, because that was boring and it's important information, but with just this few people here, there's no need for us to continue doing this. So,
We can get more people to vote on it by doing the digital vote.
right, exactly. Now we're going to go to announcing the 2023 leadership races, which is a little difficult because, yes.
Shall we move the camera back?
No, I think it's fine where it is, because there's going to be more stuff on the projector. It's a little difficult to do the announcements. Or what do you mean, move the camera back? You mean back here? Or it doesn't matter.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so our communications director, Chastity, is not here. So I think we're also going to have to move this to digital, because we were supposed to like announce who wants to run for what position. Like president, vice president, treasurer, communications director. I don't know, unless everyone here wants to be one of those positions, we can't really do that. But I was going to ask if we could waive the requirement of having a year off in between, what's it called, terms. Because this wasn't a full year, I think our current leadership should run again for 2023. Do you two agree with that?
That's fair.
Okay. Then I would like to announce I want to run for president again.
You got my vote.
Great. You want to be treasurer again?
I guess I'm running for treasurer again.
All right. Nova, do you want to be either communications director, vice president?
Do you want to be anything? You don't have to.
You don't have to be.
If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah, all you got to do is say you don't want to.
No, I don't think I want to.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, I will also email everybody something about that. Okay, so the next thing is reviewing the election results from the 2022 election. You probably saw our post saying that all the Spalding County people running lost.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, nationwide, overall great. Locally, statewide, lost everything.
Yeah, I went and looked at it and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
here's the big one. Is wait, where's the total? Why is this not showing me the total?
I think the sad part is just how in the lead we were
Mm-hmm.
based off of just early voters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. This is not the right website. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
And of course, Warnock v. Walker has gone into special election, and that'll be held on December 6th.
Yeah. So the key notes about the election results is Demetrius Rucker only lost by 341 votes. That is less than a percentage point. We were right there, and I think a lot of the reason that he didn't get across the finish line is the state party did not help local candidates at all. And so I don't want to throw them under the bus or anything, but personally, like outside of the organization, Zachary Fuller, I am so pissed off at the state party. They did not, we could have done so much better in this election. They just were fully focused on Stacey Abrams, who lost by a lot. She lost by over 100,000 more votes than she did in 2018, despite voter turnout being much higher this year. William Harris in 2020 got a bunch of state party backing, and he was statistically supposed to get 36% of the vote, and he got 44% in 2020. His opponent was on the redistricting committee, made her district more conservative, and this time he got 36% of the vote. So she put him in his place, and that's a clear violation, and so that's the state house maps are being fought in court right now with the Georgia Superior Court. Hopefully we'll get better districts, especially for Spalding County. But the key takeaway from this is I think local organizing is going to be much more important than relying on state party or even national party. I think outside of like the larger Democratic Party, we need to make sure we get with members of our communities and make sure we're all on the same page and turn people out, which we did a great job doing this year with the short notice of the forming of this organization. Anthony Dixon did terrible. Did worse than he should have done. Pinge Dubion, same thing. There were people who went and voted for Stacey who did not vote for her. I have some theories about why she didn't do too great, but honestly, I don't want to mull on them. The main thing I want to get across here is we need to field better candidates. So, if you happen to know anyone who wants to run, who you think would be a good candidate, we've got a whole year to figure that out. Okay. Really, that's all I have to say other than the runoff is happening again. Warnock got more votes, way more votes than Herschel Walker should have won, but because of an old school racist rule from over 100 years ago, Georgia goes into a runoff. We need to discuss strategy. Does anybody want to put anything on the table? Yes.
What's the rule?
Okay, so the runoff rule, a lot of southern states have runoffs because after the end of slavery, when black people in this country were given the right to vote, to prevent black people from being able to hold public office, a lot of southern states put runoffs in place. Because a lot of times you'll have third-party candidates that'll take away votes from candidates, and if no one gets, and a lot of times people wouldn't get over 50%. And if that happens, the rule says you have to go into a runoff, and that means another election is held immediately after. Voter turnout is going to be way lower, and what that did is that made sure that the, at the time, Democratic candidate, which is mostly white, and the Republican candidate at the time, which in the South would be mostly black, the Democrats would win in the runoff because white people would go and vote, especially older white people, whereas black people, there was voter intimidation by the Ku Klux Klan and other groups that kept them at home. They also usually worked more, and there was the grandfather rule at the time, where your grandfather had to be eligible to vote, so there were just more white voters in general. And that rule still is here today. I think it's very funny that it is two black candidates that are now having to do that rule, but you can see the disparity because Pennsylvania, John Fetterman got less than 50% of the vote, and yet he is now the senator of Pennsylvania. Georgia, Raphael Warnock got less than 50% of the vote, but he got the most vote out of anyone, and yet he has to go into a runoff.
He got like 49.4 or something.
Oof.
And
And now he might not even win just because the whole runoff thing.
Right.
Because there's no telling how many people actually know that the runoff is even going to happen.
Right. And older people are more likely to vote. And if we look at the national breakdown of partisanship, people over 65 are like +8 Republican. People in their 50s are like +2 Republican. People in their 30s are like +1 Democrat. And people that are younger than 30 are like +28 Democrat. It's a huge amount of voters. But a lot of young people just don't vote, or don't know how voting works, or have to work so much, or have families they can't have the time. But yeah, we have until December 6th. Early voting starts the 28th of November, and ends the 2nd of December. The SCDC has given us their plan. And so I can read that and see if we want to partner with them, or we can come up with our own plan, or both. Well, what do we want to do?
Well, what's the plan?
So,
Have you already read it?
yes,
Do you think you could summarize?
definitely. Okay. So they want to partner with local community organizations to make sure people go out to vote in the runoff. Their plan of action includes canvassing. They want to have voter turnout teams in these organizations that go out every day during early voting to tell people to vote. And if people need rides to the polls, they will give immediate rides to people to the polls. They're specifically targeting churches so they can get like church buses to take people to the polls. And then they want to do phone banking, and the SCDC already has a whole team to do phone banking, so we don't have to worry about that. Literature drops. They want to go and put like flyers and newspapers on people's doors that tell them, hey, there's a runoff, you need to go vote by this time. They want to put up yard signs, which if you want, there are worn up signs in the back here. They want to do sign waving at polling locations in high traffic areas. They want to post on social media about it, and they want to write postcards. And they actually can pass that around. That's the social media post they've curated. Now, keep in mind, these people that run the SCDC are all over 60 years old. So we might want to make our own more flashy social media posts, but that is what they gave me to show y'all. Personally, the only thing in this I want to do with our organization would be postcard writing. Because we've already done a hell of a lot of canvassing this year. I think the best thing to do is target voters who are likely to vote for the Democratic Party with handwritten postcards. So we could take a day or two to come to the office and like play music, do whatever, and like just write like handwritten, personalized messages to voters.
We can do that. Let's say also put it up on the social media account.
Oh yeah, well that's a given, I feel like, but definitely. Because really there's just no time. Like even in the 2021 runoff from 2020, it extended into January. This time, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's an off-year election or...
It's basically the same month.
Yeah. December 6th is the day of the runoff election.
Well, I thought they said they did it that way. Like they had changed it from last year because how long? Because people didn't know.
Right. It might be part of SB 202. There are so many clauses in that bill. It might be part of it, I don't know. Or it could be up to the discretion of the Board of Elections of Georgia. They make this shit confusing on purpose. So is that all we got for runoff strategy?
I mean, everything I had thought of was kind of listed just then, so...
Cool. Okay. So, Autumn, would you like to present your stuff?
So, first and foremost, I have come up with like a sign-up sheet for when we do like in-person recruiting. And if y'all think that looks good, let me know. If you think it's trash and we need something else added to it or taken away from it, by all means. And in-person recruitment, what I'm hoping we can do is like go to, for example, the Walmart parking lot and have a big banner that says Young Democrats of Spalding Co. And you know, just talk to people as they come up to us and
Hopefully not get shot.
hopefully not
Right.
get shot.
We'll have someone armed on site.
You know, very
That's no good.
but you know, to encourage membership. And we would do that in like high traffic areas all over Spalding.
Let's say the high schools.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be a good idea.
Definitely. I want to partner with the voting project to get people into the high schools because you know
They're the ones who'd probably be most interested in doing something like this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
right every year you know they have a voter registration at the high school, and so I would want to partner with them to have a representative from us go and either help with the voter registration or if we can maybe have our own recruitment. You know.
Mm-hmm. With this, the only thing I think is missing is saying optional for the social media.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like, well,
It doesn't.
I included the optional up here to tell that like all of this is optional,
Mm,
but I will make that change.
Make it more clear.
because the way it is right now, it seems like it's just for the phone number.
Got you. Okay. I do.
You could just put a star by the ones that aren't optional.
Yeah.
And have a legend that has if star equals optional.
Or if star equals not optional, required.
Yeah,
Right.
that too.
Also, I'm working on merchandise designs, things like T-shirts for us to wear out and about while we're doing things, or to give away armbands or whatever, that kind of thing. So by our next meeting, December 10th, I should have those designs pretty well finalized, and we can say, okay, we like these or we don't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Our top two priorities going forward need to be fundraising and recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to vote on your logo designs, or are you just gonna stick with that one?
This is fun for me.
Okay.
So
cool.
while we're doing recruitment, do you think we could also be fundraising?
For sure.
Oh yeah, have a little donation bucket. So if someone comes up and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to, like, I'm too
I don't
old."
want to join, but
Yeah, I like what you're doing.
For sure.
we could even like for the merchandise and stuff. We could even offer like bracelets for something.
Right.
Yes.
Right. $1 for a bracelet or something like that.
Mhm.
We also want to host like we also want to host like game nights, and we're thinking of doing like
Game nights.
so like we might have a Super Smash Brothers night or a Mario Kart night or whatever, and it would be like open to the public. We would have a $10 buy-in, and that would be how we're raising the money,
Mhm.
right? And then just have, you know,
A
food
good old
around.
time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people play games, things like that. Just a good old-fashioned, wholesome fundraiser.
Yeah, I'll say my goal for 2023 is recruitment and fundraising, and to create a safe space in the community for young people. Because I'm
Mhm.
sure you're very aware, Spalding County does not have very many things for young people to do, especially not safely. And it's gotten worse since the bowling alley shut down and all that. So we need to be a safe space for people. So next meeting in December, because there was a lot on this one, so I didn't want to put this as a agenda item. But in December, I want to actually start having real plans, like what are we going to do for a game night? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do recruitment events, fundraising events, things like that? Should we do like a book club? All these different types of things. So, yeah, I want to put that on December's agenda. But yeah, really, that's it. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and then we can do public comment. And if there is no public comment or a wrap up, then we can just